Could the Kylian Mbappe transfer chaos over at PSG allow United to sign the best player in the world for next season? And if it's not Man United, where will Mbappe go? And what could this mean for Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial and Jadon Sancho? Personally, if I was Manchester United, I would be looking at the whole Mbappe situation as potentially being perfectly set up for United to take Mbappe on a season-long loan. After all, PSG seem to have backed themselves into a corner by letting everyone know that it is their intention to sell Mbappe as quickly as possible, and so realistically, are they going to be able to get £150 million? Also, what if Mbappe calls their bluff and says that he's prepared to stay and see out his contract and then move to Real Madrid on a free next summer? But before I go any further, remember to subscribe to the channel and check out my Patreon podcast, which will be linked below. But also, if you want cheap, good quality football jerseys for the new season or retro jerseys from the past 40 years, then check out jerseyfifa.com. A link will be in my Instagram bio, and if you use coupon code Atlantis, you should get a discount as well. I'll leave my Instagram at the top of the description and comment section, and a link will be in my Instagram bio. Well, PSG could try to prove a point and go ahead with their suggestion that Mbappe would sit out the whole season if he refuses to sign the 1-year extension in his contract, but it would be a very expensive point to prove, as not only would they have to pay him around £70 million as a loyalty bonus for staying that long, but also his yearly salary of around £80 million a season. If they were to allow Mbappe to leave on loan, he would still be able to join Madrid on a free next summer and pick up a large signing on fee, maybe in excess of £100 million, alongside exorbitant wages around the £1 million a week mark. There have also been reports that PSG would be open to accepting player plus cash deals, and so it does make me wonder whether they'd be interested in one or two of Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial and even Jadon Sancho. In an ideal world, PSG would sell Mbappe for around €150 million or around £130 million. Then Mbappe would likely sign a 5-year contract with the club he joins, meaning that each season would be worth around £26 million to his new club. So logically, taking on the last year of Mbappe's contract would result in PSG not only receiving a £26 million fee, but also saving them around £77 million in loyalty bonus, as well as all of, if not a large proportion of his salary, even if United or another Premier League club wouldn't pay the full £1.6 million a week wages that Mbappe still currently earns, which is £80 million salary, and PSG still had to make up $600k a week of it. They would still be saving around £50 million in wages, add on to the £77 million in the loyalty bonus, and recouping £26 million as a loan fee. That would take the total to £152 million, being the financial difference for PSG keeping Mbappe next season and just sending him out on loan. And so with Real Madrid seemingly happy to wait until next summer to bring Mbappe in on a free, and him likely wanting that option as well, could a loan move to the Premier League be the most likely destination, with Saudi Arabia in my opinion not being a likely option for Mbappe, who I'm sure won't want to essentially take a sabbatical even if the financial incentives would be obscene, likely making Mbappe a billionaire in the process. But to me, the fact that Mbappe would only be signing for a Premier League club for a season gives Manchester City, Newcastle, Arsenal and Manchester United all a distinct advantage over the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, with all 6 of those clubs also having huge financial advantages over the Italian clubs, Barcelona and even Bayern Munich as well. However, even though it would be the thing of Football Manager and FIFA nostalgia for decades to come, I can't see Mbappe ending up at Manchester City, not just because of the potential dressing room problems that could arise between Guardiola and Mbappe, as we saw with the likes of Ibrahimovic, Alexander Hleb, Samuel Eto'o, Cesc Fabregas and Yaya Toure at Barcelona, Dante at Bayern Munich and even João Cancelo and Joe Hart at Manchester City. Pep is the type of manager who can clash with big personalities, which may see him avoid the Mbappe transfer, especially with City having Haaland and this only being for a season as well. Newcastle probably can't afford to bring Mbappe in at the moment, with them still being restrained by the budget requirements of the last ownership, and so I can't see it happening this summer, especially with Newcastle also being Saudi owned. And so to me, the most likely Premier League destination for Mbappe this summer on a season-long loan is either Arsenal or Manchester United. Now under Qatari ownership, United would be the clear favourites, especially with the connections between both clubs' owners. However, with the Glazers, you never really know how much money there is to spend. Reports suggest that after the Rasmus Højlund deal, United will have to sell in order to buy. Although there have also been reports that while spending around £150 million is likely for United this summer, there is the potential to borrow upwards of £200 million on credit, which could be a worthwhile option, especially if a player like Mbappe becomes available. Arsenal do adhere to a much tighter wage structure than United, with their highest earners being Havertz at around £14.5 million a season, Gabriel Jesus on £13.7 million, Rice on £12.4 million, whilst United have all of Marcus Rashford, Casemiro, Varane and Sancho all earning upwards of £15 million up to £18.2 million a season. Even bringing Mbappe in for one season on just £1 million of his £1.6 million a week PSG salary would see Mbappe earning £52 million, over 2.5 million times the salary of United's current highest earner Jadon Sancho, and over 3.5 times the salary of Arsenal's highest earner Kai Havertz. And so I do think that it's more likely that United are willing to take on the financial burden that would come with a Kylian Mbappe loan. All in all, Kylian Mbappe for a season would likely cost around £78 million, including a loan fee of £26 million and covering £52 million of his £83 million PSG salary. But is that worth it for United? Well, let's compare what signing Harry Kane would cost. Bayern Munich have already offered £70 million for Kane, meaning that likely Tottenham are holding out for between 80 and 90 million. Kane would also be on between 400 to 500k per week, working out at between 20 to 25 million pound a season. So if we take those upper values without a signing on fee, Kane would likely cost United a total of 125 million pounds over the course of 5 years, plus a 90 million pound transfer fee, making it a total of 215 million pounds. Divide that by 5 for 1 year of his likely United contract, and you have around 43 million pounds for the financial value of next season if United were to sign Kane. So if Kane is essentially costing you between 43 to maybe 50 million pounds for next season, and Mbappe is maybe between 78 to 90 million pounds, factoring in both players signing on fees as well, is Mbappe on loan for United a good deal? I would say yes, because signing Mbappe or Harry Kane for that matter would instantly take United from probably exiting the title race around February or March time with the current squad they have, with City and Liverpool being my personal favourites at this point, to potentially with the addition of one of those two players to maybe being contenders and taking the title race into May at least. The difference between getting knocked out in the last 16 of the Champions League compared to the semi-finals is a difference of around 25 million euros in total, whilst Champions League qualification for the 24-25 season would be around 60 to 70 million pounds at least. And so even financially, this seems like a pretty great deal for United, assuming that Mbappe essentially guarantees United Champions League qualification. But not just that, as he almost immediately gives United a real chance both in the Premier League and in the Champions League. Harry Kane definitely does that for United in the Premier League, but Kylian Mbappe is without doubt a much surer bet when it comes to Europe, making the extra 20 to 25 million pounds for next season probably worth it to United. But the advantage that United have over Arsenal, for example, comes in the form of Anthony Martial, Mason Greenwood and potentially even Jadon Sancho. Unlike Arsenal, United have 3 talented players with world-class potential earlier on in their careers who can be used as potential makeways for Mbappe. Rather than paying the £26 million that I quoted as a potential loan fee, United could instead offer 2 of Greenwood, Martial or Jadon Sancho on a season-long loan to PSG, with each of those costing £13 million each. Given that Chelsea paid £10 million for half a season of João Felix, on 180k a week in wages as well, I definitely think that all 3 of these United players would be worth at least £13 million for the whole season. But I think the perfect scenario would be if Greenwood and Martial were to go on loan to PSG, as not only would they save £26 million on the loan fee, but also Martial's £13 million salary, alongside Greenwood's £3.8 million salary, taking the savings further to around £42 million on this Mbappe deal. You could even throw in Martial in a permanent deal with PSG wanted, as he's only got 1 year left on his contract, and so any loan move would be the equivalent of a permanent move to United anyway. And I think Greenwood and Martial on loan together is a good deal for PSG, and potentially an incredible deal if both manage to stay fit and return to their form of 2020.